Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far, with Drazah making the decision to join Atlanta FaZe and the contract seemingly being locked in over the past 48 hours or so. OpTic Methodz gives his opinion on this decision by Drazah. It's certainly going to work out well for FaZe in theory, on paper, the upgrade that it should make for them in the respawn modes. But what about the decision from Drazah to make this call to go back on the beef that they've had over the last several months and straight up reject an opportunity from OpTic Texas, given what OpTic are as a brand, what they could do for Drazah's future? Is this a major mistake? Will he regret this decision looking back on it? Or actually, is this the right move in terms of stacking the trophy cabinet? Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. First of all, thought this is funny. I forgot to mention this the other day, so I thought, you know what? I might as well bring it up now. There was some Cold War 8s going down, and I think that poor Doug St. Martin, this is pretty much the first time he was playing this since the game was actually out against guys that were grinding it a fair little bit. But you got Zuma, aBeZy on the other team. Doug dropped 6, and this is 6 EKIA, right? You guys remember how it used to work in Cold War when you'd get eliminations, which would consider kills and assists, right? So I think he had maybe 3 actual kills here. 4 seconds in Hill, not the greatest damage. So Doug was getting tucked into bed. Apocalypse can be a pretty brutal map in fairness in terms of rotations. But, I mean, yeah, Doug's got to focus up a little bit for some of these tourneys that I'm sure are going to continue. I also wanted to mention this because in yesterday morning's video, I talked about the Crowder had mentioned on stream that he's had a meeting with aBeZy about, about something or other. Now, apparently on stream last night, I wasn't actually watching, but I heard that on stream yesterday, he was denying this and said, no, it never happened. I don't know where you guys are getting at from, you're making it up type thing. So I was like, all right, I'll go back and find the clip. So, I'll share this for you guys now. So I don't think there's any like crazy intel in this or anything, but I just wanted to show that, like, look, he said 2 days ago that he'd had a meeting with aBeZy talking about various things. And my speculation was that it might have been talking about a potential, could things work with Drazah? Apparently he then denied that he even had this meeting last night. Not exactly sure why. So on one of the 2 days, like, he wasn't telling the full truth as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, man.
How's your morning, Chris?
Great. I got a workout in. I walked my dog. Took a few phone calls. Life's great.
Yeah? Who was on the phone?
People.
What do you mean by that?
I had a long chat with aBeZy today.
Oh, how's he feeling?
He's feeling good, man. He's feeling nice and healthy in the offseason.
Yeah, he's feeling healthy, huh?
Yeah. We're talking about who he wants to coach him next year.
What's like his play? What's he aiming like play style wise next year? Like, is he trying to get like nice and scrappy or?
I mean, he's thinking about really, just making sure he plays for the win. He was talking about his own gameplay. It wasn't about the other person.
No, iLLeY. From the tweets that I have gathered, I think Ender sketched on him. I think. Because they were playing a lot of COD together. So it seems like they were going to be a team of 2. And I think Ender sketched on iLLeY for this team. Because there was, what was it? There was a leak about them being a team of 3. Wake, iLLeY, and Huke. And then right after that happened, iLLeY tweeted like, hit me up or something like that. So I think that was what happened here. Because it was never like rumored or leaked or anything like that they were a team of 2, but they were playing a ton of COD. And I don't know. iLLeY getting sketched on? I don't know. I think that's what happened. I don't have any concrete evidence, but I'm going to take my word as gospel because...
Not sure why Crowder would have changed his story if he did, but whatever, just wanted to share it quickly. The other clip there, though, was from Octane, right, on the Arcitys iLLeY situation, which is actually very interesting because for, honestly, I would say almost 12 months now, I think even last off-season, when iLLeY was initially dropped by OpTic Texas last year, I didn't think they were going to bring it back, right? In the few days, I mean, it was really a 48-hour window, right? When they dropped Dashy, they dropped iLLeY, they were going to bring in Hydra and Cammy, they went back on their decision. It was a mistake in hindsight, but still, I thought iLLeY was going to be gone. And in that period, the rumor was that iLLeY, Arcitys, potentially to Los Angeles Guerrillas, I think was an option, or even maybe it was sometime this season, where mid-season people thought, well, could iLLeY and Arcitys duo up on Guerrillas? And look, it probably wouldn't be the worst AR duo in the game, but I think they would be lacking some firepower at times, but it was believed that that could be a likely possibility. However, over over the last few days, I mean, pretty much Octane confirms what we believed was the case. Maybe he's just talking on this from what he's seen as well, but maybe he's heard a couple of things behind the scenes. That, yeah, this Arcitys iLLeY thing is now broken down, and iLLeY has basically sketched on Arcitys for this roster of iLLeY, Awakening, and Huke, plus potentially Standy. That's the rumor of the team of 4. We don't know where that would be if that organization, you know, if a team was to, if that roster of 4 was to go to an organization. We're not sure it's going to be Surge because we think Rama might be going there with some sort of French potential speaking outfits. That's an interesting option. Maybe Minnesota for those guys, maybe another organization, possibly not Los Angeles Guerrillas. You'd expect Arcitys to still be there. And actually, just to quickly look at this, he's actually got Los Angeles Guerrillas back in his bio, because I'm pretty sure the other day we looked at this in the video and LA Guerrillas was not in his bio. So he's put that back in. So maybe they've, you know, actually decided to extend his contract after all. Okay, his contract is guaranteed, but there were some rumors they might be trying to buy Arcitys out and go down an entirely different direction from that 2+1 deal that he has. Maybe not the case, but definitely interesting from iLLeY, right, if he's made this call to basically sketch on Arcitys, because they used to play a lot together. I mean, I was just looking at some tweets here between iLLeY and Arcitys and what they used to talk about, and this is shortly after Champs. So you guys can see that back here, during and shortly after Champs, there was so much discussion between the two of them on various things, and they were always posting our, you know, challa with iLLeY, challa with Arcitys and all this stuff, and they're playing together. Over the last week or so, we've seen none of that, right? The guys haven't played together anymore. So it's how it goes in the COD scene, but I think that's probably a reasonable explanation here that Arcitys is now looking for new teammates, with iLLeY deciding to go the way of that Awakening and Huke team, which actually could be pretty decent on paper in terms of trying to get some upset victories from time to time. Let's talk Drazah then, because seems like he's made his decision. We saw from FaZe the other day, they said it's official. Drazah has heavily implied this is the case, and usually Jacob L won't be tweeting something without enough sources confirming that this is going to be the case. FaZe seem to have locked it in, Crowder seems confident in the situation, and they apparently have worked things out there behind the scenes. The question is this the right decision from Drazah? It's very rare as a Call of Duty player that you have both an offer from OpTic and from FaZe at the same time. Those are the two teams that you know, you'd want to join. OpTic for, obviously, you can win there, absolutely, but OpTic has so many other benefits in addition to playing with great players on that roster as well. And then FaZe, you know, the trio over there, the Tiny Terrorists plus Cellium, the amount of success they've had over the last few years. And it's not like, you know, Drazah won an event this past season, but it's not like he's a reigning world champion or anything anymore. He was the previous season. It's expected why Drazah there's so much interest in him, because that role is difficult to fill. He fills a lot of the gaps that FaZe and OpTic needed in terms of, you know, selfless, great search and destroy player, grinder mentality, right, as well. Like, this guy's going to go super hard in scrims and make things very fun to play. So it's expected why those teams are interested in him, but the decision is still controversial, to say the very least. Drazah even tweets this out last night. Seems like, you know, he might well have made a decision and has locked something in over the last couple of days. Now, of course, we've got to remember that Methodz on this is going to be probably somewhat biased, because he is on the OpTic organization. He, you know, spent a couple of years away from OpTic after leaving them in 2018, wanted to rejoin, and when he got the chance to do so, from a content perspective, when Scump retired and he wanted Methodz to come along as well, he took up that offer. No-brainer for Methodz. And for most players, joining OpTic is the, you know, is the be-all and end-all, right? That's where you want to be, at least at some point in your career. So Methodz' perspective is that this is a mistake by Drazah to not take the OpTic offer. He reckons you always take it. It's so beneficial for your business, really, as a player, outside of just the game, that you want to go to OpTic. And also, when you're looking at Pred, if that is true, Shotzzy and Dashy, compared to Simp aBeZy Cell, like, you know, maybe in terms of raw skill and ability, it's not too dissimilar. Now, the results over the last couple of years have been, but Methodz thinks this is a big mistake.
Why would Drazah, any top FA, choose FaZe over OpTic? I'm obviously not talking rumors. I'm not talking anything I know personally. I do think, generally speaking, I think if you get an OpTic offer, I think you take an OpTic offer. I'm not sure if I'm tripping. I just think when you're handed a golden ticket, no matter who you are, you take it. And maybe I'm wrong. Over winning? Guys, to say that, just speaking of two players, Shotzzy and Dashy, to say you can't join Shotzzy and Dashy and go win championships is literally insane. I don't know. I just think, and once again, in my opinion, we can always agree to disagree. I think from From back to Black Ops 2 till now. I think if you get an OpTic offer, you take it.
So obviously there's two sides of the coin here, right? I don't think that Drazah is looking at the OpTic team and thinking, damn, those guys won't be able to win. I think he's looking at FaZe and what they've achieved over the past several years and is trying to do a little bit more of that. If you're Drazah, you're still a young player. The possibility to join OpTic is still there in the future. I don't think the bridges there are necessarily burned. Depends if he gets into any beef or any drama between FaZe and OpTic over the next season or so, I suppose. But it's not impossible that he could join OpTic at some point in the future were they still to want him. And FaZe, from a prize earnings, tournament winning perspective, is, if you get that offer, is pretty much the way that players want to go. And it depends what you want out of your career, right? If you're Drazah, you're already a one-time world champion, you've won a few events here or there, but if you want to really extend your legacy and become known as one of the greatest ever, FaZe is quite possibly the way to go, at least in the short term. It's the same discussion that Pred has had, and I'm sure that Pred was thinking about this over the last few months when he was weighing up where he wanted to go. He said that, like, look, he wants to build a legacy as certainly the greatest, like, Australian player ever, which is not going to be too challenging for him. I think he's most certainly already there, but, you know, as one of the greatest players of all time, you know, he wants to be noted in, you know, top 5 of all time levels, and, you know, you're more likely to do that if you win an awful lot. But then again, the players also have to consider what is their life going to be like after competing, setting up for that as well. And look, Drazah's got a personality on him for sure, and I think on OpTic Texas or just on OpTic Gaming at some point, the brand deals, everything associated with that could be very valuable for him. But it's not like it's impossible for that to be the case at some point. He could go on to join OpTic in the future. Just one funny thing to mention here from this graphic that I did bring up for you guys yesterday is that we have a lot of NAs here, right? Because we've got teams that either didn't exist during those time periods. The only one where the team did exist was Paris in Cold War, but they actually just made $0. So, you know, they get NA here because they made 0, not because they didn't exist, as is the case of most of these teams on this one. But on the flip side, right, from Methodz perspective, you get situations like this, where if you look at the Twitch streamers, this is back in April, shortly after Ghosty joined the team, and it's not like, okay, Ghosty streams 93 hours in April, which is not exactly crazy compared to, you know, Zuma streams pretty much double that, Shotzzy streams more than Ghosty did, but Ghosty was a top 10 streamer pretty much on Modern Warfare 2, which is no real surprise. This is how it goes. Like, you know, Ghosty wasn't really known at all before this, joins OpTic, immediately has big stream numbers, you know, averaging well over 1,000 viewers here. And in terms of watch time, beating out TP, beating out aBeZy, beating out Aiden without, you know, obviously pretty close between all of these, and he streamed some more hours than TP and Aiden did, but still, you get the picture, right? And it was very clear with, let's say, Crim6, back in the OpTic days, when he was on OpTic, he was getting all the love, all the fan base, all, you know, all the viewership, all the money from streaming, and then when he departed ways, all of a sudden he was like, where did all the audience go? They just all disappeared. So that's a decision to weigh for Drazah. Like, as I said yesterday, I think that honestly on this one, I think he's made the right call personally. I think going down this route, and also from a personality perspective, it just makes a bit more sense him being on FaZe. Now, yes, some people would say, oh, well, he kind of butchered this whole villain role when he got annoyed about the flank tweeting the FU Drazah chants, which I get, right? People called him soft, and I totally get that. But at the same time, he's still a player that's, you know, causes friction with the community, not particularly well liked by large swathes of it, and I think it just makes sense for him and for the community at large for him to go to FaZe at the moment. And then still, I mean, other options could be available in the future. Methodz was not on OpTic for much of his career, right? I mean, he joined OpTic at the end of the World War II days, then got dropped again and had to take a few years to return. But as soon as he did, you know, he'd built an audience for himself over that period anyway without OpTic. But as soon as he was back on OpTic, everything's, you know, kicking into gear again. And that's how it goes. You know, players like Ghosty join immediately, they get the OpTic buff, and then he'll leave, and then he'll get the OpTic debuff. It's how it goes. Just one final thing to close out the video for you guys. If you have any suggestions for Simp's new hairstyle, please let him know in the replies, because Simp doesn't know what to do on top here, and as he says, I'd rather just go bold and call it a day. I'm bringing the buzz cuts back this year. So if you guys have any suggestions, or if you want Simp to look like this, then, you know, definitely give your thoughts there in the replies. So remember to try to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.